Tabletop Spotlight, brought to you by Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy. Hey everyone, I'm AdamHarry from Bell Lost Souls, Tabletop News with
Evan from Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy.
We're back with another Tabletop Spotlight. Evan, what'd you bring today?
Yeah, I brought Kaiju Crush.
Kaiju Crush!
So think of it, it's like a mix between Smash Up and Onitama. Interesting. You know? It is a game where you're playing giant monsters, destroying a city, and you kind of fight each other sometimes. So it's a fantastic game.
It does sound a little bit like Smash Up. And, yeah.
Onitama because of how you move, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. Alright, cool. I really like Smash Up, and I've played Onitama before, so I'm down. Let's take a look inside Kaiju Crush. Alright, Evan, it's Kaiju Crush time!
Kaiju Crush!
Alright, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's got a pretty crazy board.
So it comes with 4 Kaijus, we're going to see. But yeah, here's the setup from the back of the box. Let's just crack them. Let's
just go in here.
So join the fun online!
Yeah, store locator.
Let's just get into it. So let's talk about the main component. And these are coming pre-bagged.
Yep.
These are the city tiles. Now you're going to be making a grid of city tiles. Depending on the number of players, I think the maximum is a 7x6 grid.
Okay.
For the maximum amount of players. But they're going to look like this, and it's just going to be different types. So there's going to be a civilian one, there's going to be a financial one with points under it. We also have a transport one and an energy one, but also there's the wild cards, which are all 4 of them. 4 different symbols. Now those matter because whenever you land on a spot, you put your designated marker down. So like, let's say the green player lands on the spot. Let's say Galathor lands on the landmark.
Boom.
He puts that down, and that was that part. So it's kind of a puzzle game. You're kind of spreading, I guess you could say, the damage you do. Once you put this down, you're going to take this, and you get to keep it, and at the end of the game, you get to score off of it. But yeah, excuse me. That's kind of the basic mechanic of the game. Now, the movement is one of the more interesting parts. Also, these are the 4 guys I should point out. They each have different abilities based off of combat. Where's the 4th guy? There he is. So these guys have different abilities off combat. Now, the movement is the interesting part. There's movement cards. I'm going to open these up. If you want to take a look at those punch outs.
Yeah, real quick too. There's a set of these cards for each color. So there's one set for green. For yellow.
Yeah, for each different monster or kaiju, yeah.
And white. So there's all the different kaijus, and these all on the other side have different attacks, which we'll get to in a second. So keep going here. Yeah, let's take a look. We've got standees, so you can put your put the kaiju on stands, and then of course the kaiju and markers here. So
yeah,
you've got victory tokens in here as well as
of course, you got
kaiju.
Reference cards. Each player gets 1, 4 in total. We have these objective cards, and they're going to be different each time. I think there's only 4 in play at a time, but those would be like different ways of getting points at the end of the game.
Yep, and there's the different kaiju, and then victory point.
Victory points.
Battle. These are actually technically
battle victory.
Combat victory tokens.
So they're going to be upside down. Whenever you win combat, you can win one of them, and it can be either 1, 2, or 3 points at the end. We got some ability cards, or just like quick play ability cards. Now here's where the interesting part. These are the movement cards. Now this is why it's like Onitama, because you're subject to only these movements. Each player is going to have their own movement, and then there's going to be a separate one out off the board. On your turn, let's say this is part of the grid, 4x4. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's say you're here, and let's say this is the corner of a bigger board, all right?
Sure.
You're right here. You have the option of stomp, or let's say leap is off the board.
Okay.
You can either play your own. If you do, though, you have to swap out whatever is off the board. But that one, you can move, one adjacent. Or you can play leap, which is basically what a knight can do. In,
2 squares and then 1 over.
Yeah, 1 over. But if you choose to use the card that's off the board, you get to keep your card. So it kind of keeps your opponent away from being able to use your own card.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's only ever 3, or 1 plus the number of players playing to choose from, but you're only gonna have 2 options on your turn. So that's why it's kind of a puzzle game. You have to think ahead.
Yeah.
There are also tiles like parks, which don't have a point value, but they kind of work as like bouncing off. If you land on a park, you can move again. So there's different ways of getting around. But every time you land on a spot that has a point value and a symbol, you're gonna replace it with your own marker, I guess you'd say. So yeah.
And then the last thing in the box was actually the rule book.
Yeah.
So,
Real quick too, combat's super simple. So combat is basically kind of a variant of rock, paper, scissors. Now you want to bring those over.
Yeah, let's just pretend that the green has landed here.
Yeah.
And
the yellow players landed on the same spot.
Okay, so here's all the yellows.
So each player is going to draw 5 cards. So the game is best out of 5. So let's say you have that stack.
We would shuffle these, but
yeah, we're going to draw 5 cards. Now each side, the side are all these. We should show off one of each. So there's Dragon Breath. There's claws, there's your tail, there's your feet, and then there are spikes. Now, how this works. These 3 right here in the middle, they're kind of the rock, paper, scissors. Tail beats feet, feet beats claws, claws beat tail.
Okay.
However, Dragon Breath beats all of those.
But there's only like a handful of Dragon Breaths.
Yes. Spikes don't beat any of these, but spikes are the only thing that beats Dragon Breath. So there's the weird variant. So everyone's going to draw 5 cards, best out of 5. You're each going to place, like first round, we're going to place one upside down, and then we're going to flip it over. I had spikes, you had claws, so you would have won, so I would have had a failure.
Yeah.
Whoever wins best out of 5, if it's a combat on the same square, whoever wins gets to put their color down.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting to note, when you have one down here, you can't have it in your deck. So I lost the Dragon's Breath.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
But it's all random. When you take it off the top of your deck. So
you would shuffle these up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how the combat works. It's super simple. You can use these ability cards as well. But yeah, that's the basic premise. You want to just bring over the rule book. It's not a complex game. This rule book is, what, 6, 7 pages, 8 pages maybe?
Super short, yeah.
Setup of the game, we already talked about it. Let's skip over them. Now, we talked about, so here's the grid size too. For 6 to 5 for 2 players, 6 to 6 for 3 players, 7 to 6 for 4 players. Totally different every time. You're gonna shuffle these. This is what they look like on the back. I should have pointed out. And you're gonna flip them over, and that's gonna be your grid, your whole city.
And it's randomized.
Yeah, totally randomized. Now, monsters, each of them have a different ability during combat. It'll say on your monster card. So, for instance, this guy.
No, this is the basics of how the. Yeah, but you're talking about this up here. Wind ties on claws, kick, or tail.
Yeah.
This one here has, after drawing territory markers before battle, discard and redraw up to 5.
Yeah.
Winds ties on fire breath and spikes. And then this one draws 6 tokens for combat.
Yeah. So
each one's a little different. Each one does its own unique thing.
They're not overpowered either. It's just like a little feature. Movement we already talked about. It's kind of that Oni Tournament style. Collecting city tiles, basically whenever you land on a city tile that's not a park, you're going to collect it no matter what.
Yeah.
Unless you land on one that another monster is on.
And then you fight.
And then we talked about the moving cards, moving into battle. You can also fight adjacent. And adjacent, you're not fighting for the tile, but you're fighting for victory points. But also these tiles are worth victory points, and you kind of want to do it based off of the objectives too. So for instance, this one, 3 points for having 4 territory markers arranged diagonally from a center space, like it shows on the there.
If you land on another monster's tile, what happens?
I think you territory battles, adjacent battles. Oh, you're not allowed to. You can't land on it unless there's another monster already there. You can't land on another player's tile.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. So that's how the game ends too. When nobody has a legal move left, the game ends.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's bigger for more players, so there's more room for legal moves. Talks about objective cards, how to score these guys, but there also could be something like this. The player with the most tiles of the civilian group takes this card, and their territory markers can be used as parks by all players, or when the last card of the civilian group is claimed, discard this card. So these are also on the side of the board.
Okay.
There's 4 different ones in play, but that's basically it. Going over scoring and stuff like that. Alternate rules as well if you want to, arena mode, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a super complex game.
No.
Pretty simple to learn, easy to pick up.
Yeah, I want to give it a shot. It seems like it's very quick to learn, and like you said, it's Kaiju Smash and stuff. So
yeah, basically.
Cool stuff. Let's hop out for a recap. Well, that was Kaiju Crush. I like it, man. It's got some neat mechanics.
It's cool art style. And the city is different every time. So
yeah, just the random tile placement.
Yeah. But it's cool because they took some really cool mechanics from other games and kind of mixed it together. They packaged it together for this really cool game. Yeah.
I just like the move mechanic where you're swapping cards out and like moving around. It changes it. It
keeps it fresh, but also challenging.
It's kind of like if you had like chess movements, but then like if you had a knight that could do a specific move, but then like
as we saw the leap card, it was basically you go 2 up and then either one to the left or one to the right. So
but then
exactly like
if you do that, then you can't like it's gonna change like the next time you do something. So I just like it. That was a cool, unique thing. So let's crunch the numbers on Kaiju Crush real fast.
Yes.
This is from Fireside Games. It is 2 to 4 players.
Yep.
What's the runtime on this one?
Runtime is usually around 45 minutes, so it's not too long.
And it's ages 10 and up.
Yep.
10 and up.
And it's $29.95.
Yeah. So right around the right price point for what you expect in a box like this.
Came out last week, so it's still pretty new.
Yeah. So go check it out. It's in stores right now. I'm AdamHarry from Bowls.
I'm Evan from Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy.
And this has been another Tabletop Spotlight. Thanks again for watching.
Tabletop Spotlight brought to you by Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy. Thanks for watching.